Admiral Crix turned off the communication channel and faced his senior staff. The weight of what they had discovered pressed down on everyone in the room like a physical force. They had come here to conquer a primitive species, but instead they had found something that would change everything they thought they knew about the universe. "We need to make contact with High Command immediately," Admiral Crix said. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. "This is beyond a military matter now. This affects the survival of every civilized species in the galaxy." Dr. Vex's image on the screen showed new data streaming in from sensors throughout the solar system. "Admiral, I'm detecting more energy signatures as I refine my scans. The humans have installations on every major planet and moon in their system. Each one shows the same impossible energy readings." "What kind of installations?" Fleet Commander Rux asked. "Mining operations on their asteroid belts that are converting raw matter directly into any element they need. Research stations on their outer planets that are conducting experiments with dimensional physics. Manufacturing centers on their moons that are building materials by manipulating atomic structures at will." Dr. Zal pulled up more information on his scanner. "Admiral, I accessed more of their casual communications during our visit. They talk about their various projects like we talk about gardening. Listen to this conversation between engineers on Mars." The speakers played a recording of human voices. "Hey Jim, how's the terraforming project going?" "Pretty good, Sarah. We finished adjusting the atmospheric composition yesterday. Now we're working on the magnetic field generators." "Those new quantum field manipulators working out okay?" "Yeah, they're great. We can reshape the planet's magnetic field much more precisely now. Should have Mars completely habitable within another 5 years." The alien officers stared at each other in shock. The humans were casually talking about reshaping entire planets like it was a simple construction project. "They're not just using impossible technology," Dr. Vex said quietly. "They're using it to transform worlds, to create new realities wherever they go. And they think it's just normal colonial development." Admiral Crix made the hardest decision of his military career. Send an immediate message to High Command. Full retreat from human space. Classify all human territories as absolute forbiddens zones, and prepare a warning message for every civilized species in the galaxy. "What should the message say, sir?" his communications officer asked. Admiral Crix looked out at the small human ship that had shattered his understanding of reality. "Tell them we have found a species that has transcended the physical laws of the universe without even realizing it. Tell them that humanity has become something beyond our ability to understand, and they think it's perfectly normal." Dr. Vex interrupted from the science vessel. "Admiral, there's one more thing you need to know. I've been analyzing the quantum signatures around Earth itself. The planet is changing. The humans aren't just evolving individually. They're altering the space-time around their homeworld through their collective unconscious." "What do you mean?" Admiral Crix asked, though he feared the answer. "Earth's gravitational field is becoming more complex. Time flows differently in certain areas around the planet. The quantum foam of space-time is being restructured by the presence of 12 billion evolved humans, all thinking and dreaming together. They're not just using reality-altering technology. They're becoming reality-altering beings." The implications. Back aboard the Devastator Prime, Admiral Crix called an emergency meeting with all his senior officers. The conference room was filled with the Empire's best military minds, all waiting to hear about their encounter with the humans. Dr. Zhao connected his portable scanner to the main display screen. "What you are about to see will challenge everything we believe about the universe," Dr. Zhao began. The screen filled with readings and data from their visit to the human ship. "The humans have no idea what they have actually created. They think they are using advanced versions of their own technology, but what they have actually built breaks every law of physics we know. Fleet Commander Rix, a veteran of countless battles, leaned forward in his chair. How is such a thing possible? No species can accidentally develop technology beyond their understanding. That's exactly what they've done, Dr. Zal replied. From what I observed, humanity took a completely different path to scientific development than any other species we've encountered. Instead of following the logical progression that every civilization follows, they stumbled onto advanced physics, without understanding the theory behind it. Dr. Vex's image appeared on a side screen from the science vessel. His usually confident manner was completely gone. Admiral, I've completed my analysis of Earth's technological development. The pattern is disturbing beyond description. Show us everything, Admiral Crix commanded. The main screen filled with a timeline of human progress. 200 years ago, humans discovered nuclear fission, Dr. Vex explained. Within 50 years, they developed fusion power. But here's where everything becomes impossible. Their fusion reactors don't work the way fusion should work. They are actually creating and containing microscopic black holes, but their mathematics convinced them they were just really good at fusion. The timeline continued, showing each step of human development. 70 years ago, they developed what they call quantum computers. They believe they are using quantum entanglement to process information faster. In reality, they are reaching across dimensional barriers to access computational power from parallel universes. They have accidentally created interdimensional technology and convinced themselves it's just really fast computers. Every officer in the room stared at the display in growing horror. The humans had not just developed one impossible technology. They had built their entire civilization on science that shouldn't exist. 50 years ago, Dr. Vex continued, they achieved faster-than-light travel. They think they are using improved rocket engines and better understanding of relativity. What they actually built are engines that fold space-time like paper, allowing them to step outside normal reality to travel between stars. Admiral Crix felt sick to his stomach. How many humans have access to this technology? All of them, Admiral. Every human settlement, every ship, every research facility. They have spread impossible science throughout their species and think it's normal industrial development. Dr. Zhao activated another display. But the most terrifying discovery is what I found when I analyzed their population genetics. The room became completely silent. The humans didn't develop this technology through normal scientific research. They developed it through evolution. Their brains have been changing over the past 2 centuries. They are becoming naturally capable of understanding physics that should be impossible. The genetic charts showed human brain structure changing generation by generation. New neural pathways appeared in children that hadn't existed in their parents. Entire sections of the brain were developing that had no equivalent in any other known species. What are you saying? Fleet Commander Rix asked in a whisper. I'm saying that humanity isn't just accidentally building impossible technology. They're accidentally becoming impossible themselves. Every human child born now has brain structures that allow them to instinctively understand reality manipulation. They are evolving into beings that can alter the laws of physics by thinking about it, and they believe it's just normal technological progress. Dr. Vex's image flickered as he added more data. I've analyzed their education systems, Admiral. Human children learn to use quantum computers the same way they learn to ride bicycles. They intuitively understand gravitational manipulation before they learn basic mathematics. They are teaching their young to casually manipulate forces that we can barely comprehend with our most advanced science. How many humans are there? Admiral Crix asked, though he dreaded the answer. 12 billion on Earth alone, Dr. Vex replied. Another 3 billion scattered across their colonies in the solar system. And Admiral, they are expanding. They have sent colony ships to 18 different star systems, each one carrying this impossible technology and these evolved humans. The Admiral looked around the room at his terrified officers. Some were staring at the displays in shock. Others had put their heads in their hands. All of them understood what this meant for the future of galactic civilization. "There's more," Dr. Zal said quietly. "I managed to access some of their casual communication networks while we were on their ship. They talk about their technology, the way we talk about cooking food or cleaning clothes. Listen to this." The screen showed a conversation between human engineers on the Liberty. They were discussing routine maintenance on their gravity adjusters, like mechanics talking about changing oil in a vehicle. They casually mentioned realigning the quantum matrix and recalibrating the dimensional flux regulators as if they were everyday tasks. "They don't even think about what they're doing," Dr. Zal explained. "A human engineer can rebuild a device that manipulates space-time while eating lunch and chatting with friends. It's as natural to them as breathing." Fleet Commander Yerkes spoke what everyone in the room was thinking. "We cannot fight them. We cannot negotiate with them as equals. How do you make agreements with beings who casually violate the fundamental laws of reality?" "But they don't know what they are," Dr. Zal pointed out. "They still think they're just a normal species with good engineering skills. They have no idea they've transcended physical limitations." Dr. Vex's voice came through the speakers again. "Admiral, there's something else you need to know. I've detected similar energy signatures from other star systems. The humans aren't the only ones. There are at least 3 other species in this galaxy that show signs of the same impossible evolution. They're all developing reality-altering capabilities without understanding what they're becoming." "3 other species?" Admiral Crix repeated. "Yes, sir. And if my calculations are correct, this is not a random occurrence. Something is causing intelligent species to evolve beyond normal physical limitations. The humans are just the first ones we've encountered." Admiral Crix stood up slowly, feeling the weight of cosmic horror settling on his shoulders. He had spent his entire career conquering worlds and subjugating species. Now he had discovered that the universe contained beings who could remake reality with a thought, and they didn't even know they were doing it. "Sir," his communications officer interrupted, "we are receiving a message from the human ship." Captain Ford's image appeared on the screen. She looked calm and professional, just like any other starship captain. There was nothing in her appearance to suggest she commanded forces that could delete matter from existence. "Admiral Crix, I hope your visit to our ship has given you a better understanding of humanity's position. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. I suggest we arrange a more formal diplomatic meeting to discuss the future relationship between our species." Admiral Crix stared at her image, knowing that she had no idea what she really was. None of them did. They were gods who thought they were mortals, and they wanted to have a diplomatic meeting. Admiral Crix made a decision that would change everything he thought he knew about the universe. Instead of running away or attacking, he opened a communication channel to the human ship. "Captain Ford, I am Admiral Crix of the Zilithian Empire. I apologize for our aggressive approach. We clearly did not understand your capabilities. Perhaps we could arrange a meeting to discuss this situation more peacefully." On the Liberty's bridge, Captain Ford looked at Commander Jake Miller. Both humans seemed surprised by the alien's sudden change in attitude. "Very well, Admiral. You may send a small group to our ship, but I warn you, any attempt at treachery will be met with immediate response." 1 hour later, Admiral Crix and his science officer, Dr. Zal, appeared aboard the Liberty in a flash of blue light. Their transport beam technology was something the Silithians were proud of, but what they found aboard the human vessel shocked them more than anything they had ever experienced. The humans met them in a conference room that looked perfectly normal by human standards. The walls had simple display screens showing various ship information. The furniture was basic metal and plastic construction. Everything appeared exactly as primitive as their first scans had suggested, but Dr. Zal could see more than normal. Eyes could see. His enhanced vision showed him that what looked like simple wall panels were actually windows into folded dimensions, containing entire universes of computing power. The humans had no idea they were walking past technology that could simulate entire galaxies. Captain Ford gestured to chairs around the plain table. "Admiral, before we begin, perhaps you could explain why your forces opened fire on our patrol ships without any warning." "A misunderstanding," Admiral Crix replied, his translator working to convert his nervous clicking into human words. "We assumed you were a primitive species that had somehow stumbled into space travel. Clearly, we were very wrong." "Lieutenant." Susan Walsh entered with drinks and snacks, passing directly by a control panel that Dr. Zal's scanners revealed was actually manipulating the flow of time within localized areas of the ship. She smiled pleasantly at the alien visitors, completely unaware she had just walked past technology that could slow down or speed up time itself. Primitive? Commander Jake Miller laughed. "I suppose we might seem that way to some species out there. We only achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago, and we're still working out the problems with our gravitational lens systems." Dr. Zell nearly choked on his drink. What the humans casually called gravitational lens systems were devices that could fold space-time like origami. The problems they were working out involved manipulating the fundamental structure of reality itself. Engineer Danny Cooper stuck his head into the conference room. He was a friendly man with oil stains on his uniform and a big smile. "Captain, just wanted to let you know the quantum fluctuation dampeners are running smooth. The new ones we installed last month are keeping our power grid stable." After he left, Admiral Crix leaned toward Dr. Zal and whispered, "What are quantum fluctuation dampeners?" Dr. Zeal consulted his hidden scanner, and his face went pale. "There. Controlling the uncertainty principle itself. They've made quantum mechanics behave predictably within a localized area. That should be completely impossible." The meeting continued for 2 hours. The humans kept mentioning technology after technology that broke every law of physics the aliens knew existed. They spoke of their simple fusion reactors that were actually harvesting energy from the quantum vacuum of space itself. They mentioned their basic navigation computers that were performing calculations using the fundamental particles of reality. Most frightening of all, they seemed to think this was all perfectly normal. Captain Ford took them on a tour of the ship's armory, proudly showing off what she called their kinetic accelerator rifles. Dr. Zal's scans revealed weapons that fired bullets through shortcuts in space, allowing projectiles to hit targets by bypassing normal three-dimensional reality entirely. "We developed these during the Martian Independence War," she explained, cheerfully. "Nothing too fancy, but they work well enough for our needs." The aliens saw racks of what the humans called plasma grenades that were actually devices capable of creating and controlling miniature stars. They walked past electromagnetic pulse devices that could shut down electronics by temporarily rewriting the electromagnetic force within their blast radius. "Lieutenant, Commander Pete Johnson showed them the engine room, where he proudly explained how their improved fusion drives worked. What he described as routine maintenance involved adjusting the flow of exotic matter through engines that bent space-time to move the ship faster than light. The beauty of our new drives," Pete said happily, "is that they're so much more fuel efficient than the old chemical rockets. We can travel between star systems using just a few grams of matter, converted directly into propulsion energy." Dr. Zal realized with growing horror that the humans were casually converting matter into pure energy and using it to warp space-time. all while believing they were just using really efficient engines. As they prepared to return to their ship, Admiral Crix had to ask the question that was burning in his mind. Captain Ford, forgive my curiosity, but where did humanity acquire such advanced technology? Captain Ford looked puzzled by the question. Advanced? Admiral, this is all human engineering. We developed everything you've seen through our own research and development programs. It took us about 200 years of steady progress after we figured out the basics of nuclear physics. 200 years? Admiral Crix repeated weakly. Well, the real breakthrough came about 50 years ago, when Dr. Patricia Kim figured out how to make nuclear fusion more efficient. Once we understood how to manipulate atomic forces more precisely, everything else just followed naturally. Better materials, better energy sources, better computers. You know how it is when you have a basic understanding of physics. You just keep building on what you know. Dr. Zhao wanted to scream. What the humans casually described as manipulating atomic forces more precisely was actually direct control over the strong nuclear force, one of the fundamental forces of the universe. They were rewriting physics at the subatomic level and thought it was just good engineering. Our scientists are always working on improvements, Captain Ford continued. Just last year, our research teams on Mars developed better quantum processors for our computers. And our colony on Europa just finished testing new gravity manipulation systems for their mining operations. The aliens exchanged terrified glances. The humans had colonies throughout their solar system, all equipped with reality-bending technology that they considered routine industrial equipment. Captain, Admiral Crix said carefully, do all human settlements have technology similar to what we've seen on this ship? Of course, Captain Ford replied. We wouldn't send colonists anywhere without proper equipment. Every human settlement has full defensive capabilities, industrial fabrication systems, and communication networks. We learned long ago not to leave our people defenseless. As they returned to the Devastator Prime in the alien transport beam, Admiral Crix and Dr. Zhao sat in stunned silence. They had just learned that humanity had somehow developed godlike technology without realizing it, and they had spread this impossible science to every world they touched. Admiral, Dr. Zhao said quietly, we need to contact our science fleet immediately. This is beyond anything we've ever encountered. Admiral Crix nodded numbly. He had come here to conquer a primitive species. Instead, he had found beings who could rewrite reality itself and thought it was just normal technology. The implications were too terrifying to fully comprehend. The Liberty's main gun fired once. What came out of the weapon was not the simple metal bullet the aliens expected. It was something that made space itself twist and bend as it traveled. The projectile moved past the alien ship, missing it by a safe distance. But as it flew through space, strange things began to happen. Stars behind the projectile started to bend and stretch like they were made of rubber. Waves of energy rippled outward from its path, making the very fabric of space shake and tremble. The projectile hit a small asteroid 3,000 kilometers away. The rock didn't explode or break apart. It simply stopped existing. One moment it was there. The next moment there was nothing but empty space. Admiral Crix felt his heart stop beating. In all his years of war, he had never seen anything like this. The humans had just deleted matter from reality itself. Get our science division now, Admiral Crix commanded, his voice barely steady. I need to know what that weapon was, and I need to know immediately. The alien ship's computers worked frantically to understand what they had just witnessed. Dr. Vex, the Empire's smartest scientist, appeared on the main screen. He was normally calm and confident, but now his face showed pure fear. Admiral, the readings we got are beyond anything we've ever seen. That wasn't just a weapon. It was applied physics that shouldn't be possible. Explain it to me, Admiral Crix demanded. Dr. Vex looked at his instruments with shaking hands. The humans aren't using primitive technology, sir. They're using technology that's far beyond ours. That nuclear fission we detected isn't their main power source. It's their backup generator. What we thought were simple engines are actually gravity manipulators in disguise. That weapon system we thought was basic? It fires bullets made of compressed space and time. The Admiral felt his worst fears coming true. How is this possible? Our intelligence reports said humans only learned to travel in space 200 years ago. Dr. Vex's image flickered as he checked his readings again. Admiral, I don't think they're hiding their technology from us. I think they're hiding it from themselves. Look at this data. The screen filled with technical information that hurt to look at. The human crew members don't seem to understand the true nature of their own weapons. They think they're using advanced human technology, but the physics involved are impossibly beyond even our greatest achievements. On the Liberty's bridge, engineer Danny Cooper was checking what he believed were advanced human fusion reactors. He had no idea he was actually monitoring tiny black holes that bent space and time to provide unlimited energy. Lieutenant Susan Walsh was testing their electromagnetic pulse cannon, not knowing she was operating a device that could rewrite the basic forces of the universe. Commander Jake Miller studied their radar systems, seeing what appeared to be enhanced human technology. He couldn't know that their sensors were actually reading the quantum signatures of every atom within light years of their position. Sir, Dr. Vex continued, his voice getting smaller, there's something else. I'm detecting similar energy signatures throughout their solar system, not just from this ship, but from their space stations, their planets, their other vessels. The entire human civilization is built on technology that violates every law of physics we know. Admiral Crix felt sick. Are you telling me that these humans have somehow developed weapons beyond our understanding without even knowing it? That's exactly what I'm telling you, Admiral. And sir, I'm reading similar signatures from Earth itself. Whatever gave them this technology, it's not just their military. Their entire species has access to reality-breaking capabilities, and they think it's perfectly normal. The communication channel opened again. Captain Ford's voice was still calm and professional. Alien vessel, you have now seen what our defensive systems can do. We don't want to fight, but we will not allow attacks on human territory. Remove your forces from our space, and we can talk about this peacefully. Admiral Crix stared at his tactical display. The human ship still showed power levels that matched primitive nuclear technology, even though it had just demonstrated the ability to erase matter from existence. On the Liberty's bridge, the crew went about their normal duties. They had no idea that what they considered routine technology was actually impossible by the standards of galactic civilization. Captain Ford reviewed their status reports, satisfied that their improved fusion reactors were running smoothly. She didn't know she was looking at contained singularities that bent the laws of physics. Lieutenant Commander Pete Johnson ran diagnostics on their gravitational lens system, which he believed was just an advanced form of human engineering. In reality, he was operating devices that folded space-time like paper. When he reported that they were working out the bugs, he was talking about adjusting technology that could reshape reality itself. Captain, Engineer Danny Cooper called from the engine room. The quantum fluctuation dampeners are running perfectly. The new ones we installed last month are keeping our power grid stable. Captain Ford nodded. Good work, Danny. How are our navigation computers holding up? Running smooth as silk, Captain. The quantum processors are handling all our calculations without any problems. What they casually called quantum processors were actually devices that performed calculations using the quantum foam of spacetime itself. They were computing with the fundamental structure of the universe. And they thought it was just a really fast computer. Admiral Crix listened to this conversation through their open communication channel. Each casual mention of impossible technology made him more terrified. These humans were talking about controlling quantum mechanics and manipulating space-time like it was everyday maintenance work. Dr. Vex's voice came through the phone. Admiral's private channel. Sir, I've completed preliminary scans of their other systems. Their life support doesn't just recycle air and water. It's actually restructuring matter at the molecular level, creating perfect atmospheric conditions by rearranging atomic structures. Their food replicators aren't just advanced 3D printers. They're converting energy directly into complex organic matter. And they don't know any of this? Admiral Crix asked. They think it's all just really good human engineering, sir. They believe they've simply gotten very efficient at normal physics. The Admiral watched as the Liberty continued its slow rotation, casually displaying weapons that could unmake reality. The humans aboard it went about their duties with the confidence of people who had no idea they were gods playing with forces that could destroy galaxies. Sir, his tactical officer interrupted. They're hailing us again. Captain Ford's image appeared on the main screen. She looked like a completely normal human woman with red hair and determined eyes. There was nothing about her appearance that suggested she commanded technology that could rewrite the laws of physics. Admiral Crix, I believe you said your name was. I want to make something clear. We detected your ships entering our solar system 3 hours ago. We've been tracking your movements since you passed the orbit of Pluto. We know you destroyed our patrol ships without provocation. We know you attempted to attack this vessel. We also know that you have enough firepower to destroy planets. She paused, her expression becoming more serious. What you may not know is that we have been at war before. We have fought enemies who wanted to destroy us. We have learned how to defend ourselves. The weapon you just saw demonstrated is our smallest ship-to-ship armament. We have much larger weapons, and we have no hesitation about using them to protect human lives. Admiral Crix felt the blood drain from his face. If what they had just seen was their smallest weapon, what did their largest weapons look like? However, Captain Ford continued, we are not without reason. You have shown poor judgment, but you have not yet committed genocide. Withdraw your forces from human space immediately, and we will consider this unfortunate first contact. Continue hostilities, and we will defend ourselves with all available means. The transmission ended, leaving the alien bridge in terrified silence. Dr. Vex's voice came through again, barely a whisper. Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy buildups throughout the solar system. If they decide we're a threat, I don't think anything we have could stop them. The giant alien ship hung in space like a metal mountain. It was 10 times bigger than anything humans had ever built. Its dark hull was covered with strange symbols that glowed red in the darkness. Hundreds of weapon ports lined its sides, each one big enough to destroy a city. Admiral Crix stood on the bridge of his warship, the Devastator Prime. His 4 yellow eyes stared at the small human vessel that had just appeared from behind Jupiter's moon. The alien commander was tall and thin, with gray skin that looked like old leather. His long fingers ended in sharp claws that clicked against his chair as he watched. So these are the humans, Admiral Crix said to his crew. His voice made a clicking sound that the ship's computers turned into words. The ones who have been sending radio signals across space for many years. The human ship looked tiny next to the alien giant. It was called the USS Liberty, and it was barely the size of one of the alien ship's weapon turrets. Its hull was made of different metals welded together. Small jets of fire shot from engines along its sides. The ship looked like it was built in someone's garage, compared to the smooth alien vessel on the Liberty's bridge. Commander Jake Miller stood next to the captain's chair. He was a tall man with short brown hair and calm blue eyes. He had fought in 3 wars and never backed down from a fight. Next to him stood Captain Lisa Ford, a woman with red hair pulled back in a tight knot. She was known throughout the Earth Defense Force as someone who never gave up. Captain Ford pressed a button on her chair. "Alien ship, this is Captain Ford of the Earth Defense Force. You just destroyed 3 of our patrol ships without warning. That was an act of war. Leave our space now, or you will face the consequences." On the alien bridge, Admiral Crix heard the translation and laughed. The sound was like metal scraping against stone. Consequences? From that tiny ship? He turned to his science officer. "Scan their vessel. I want to know what weapons they have." The science officer was smaller than the admiral, with 6 arms that moved quickly over his control panel. "Scanning now, sir." Lights flashed across his screen as invisible beams examined the human ship from top to bottom. The results made everyone on the alien bridge stop what they were doing. The numbers on the screens didn't make sense. The human ship was running on power that seemed impossibly weak. Its weapons looked like simple metal bullets and basic laser beams. Most strange of all, the ship appeared to run on nuclear power, something most spacefaring races had stopped using thousands of years ago. "Admiral," the science officer said slowly, "their entire ship runs on nuclear reactions. Their weapons are just metal projectiles and light beams. This cannot be their real military technology." Admiral Crix felt worried for the first time in many years. In his 300 years of conquering other worlds, he had learned something important. Species this primitive should never travel in space with such confidence. They should be afraid when facing a much stronger enemy. Yet the humans showed no fear at all. They didn't try to run away or ask for mercy. Captain Ford's voice came through the speakers again. "You have 30 seconds to start leaving, or we will treat you as an enemy and respond with force." The alien tactical officer looked up from his controls. His face showed confusion. "Sir, they are powering up their weapons. All of them. But their energy output is so low our sensors can barely detect it." Admiral Crix had conquered 47 different worlds. He had destroyed fleets of ships much larger than this single human vessel. He had never met a species that threatened him with such weak technology. It made no sense. "Perhaps they are insane," he said to his crew. "Or perhaps they have hidden weapons we cannot detect." He looked at the small human ship again. "It doesn't matter. We will disable them and take their crew prisoner. Then we will learn why they think they can threaten us." The admiral turned to his weapons officer. "Target their engines. Use minimum power. I want them alive for questioning." On the Liberty, Lieutenant Susan Walsh watched her control panel. She was a young woman with blonde hair and green eyes. She had joined the Space Force only 2 years ago, but she was already one of their best weapons officers. "Captain, there, targeting us with their main gun," Captain Ford nodded. "Raise shields. All power to defensive systems." "Shields up, Captain," replied Lieutenant Commander Pete Johnson from the engineering station. He was a big man with dark skin and gentle hands. That could fix any machine. "All systems ready?" The alien ship's main weapon turned toward the Liberty. It was a massive cannon that could crack moons in half. Energy began to build inside it, making the space around it shimmer like water. Admiral Crix watched the power levels climb. "Fire when ready." A beam of pure energy shot out from the alien ship. It was bright enough to blind anyone looking directly at it. The beam was hot enough to melt steel and strong enough to punch through solid rock. It struck the human ship directly. In the center, nothing happened. The energy beam hit something invisible around the human ship and simply stopped. The deadly power was absorbed completely, like water soaking into a sponge. The Liberty didn't even shake. Every alien on the Devastator Prime stared in shock. Their most powerful weapon had done nothing at all to the tiny human vessel. "Impossible," whispered the science officer. "Nothing that small should be able to. Stop our main cannon." On the Liberty's bridge, Lieutenant Commander Johnson checked his instruments. Shield impact absorbed completely. No damage to the hull. Energy cells at 98%. Captain Ford's voice remained calm, but there was steel in it now. "Lieutenant Walsh, send a message to the alien ship. Tell them that was their warning shot. Any more attacks will be met with equal force." Admiral Crix felt his blood turn cold. The energy needed to stop his main cannon should have drained any known power source. Yet their scans still showed the human ship running on simple nuclear reactions. How was this possible? "Admiral," his tactical officer said in a shaking voice, "I'm reading massive power spikes from their ship, but they're not coming from any technology we recognize. The energy signatures are completely unknown." The small human ship began to turn slowly. As it moved, panels along its hull started to shift and change. Armor plating slid aside, revealing weapons that didn't look like anything in the alien databases. Strange energy began to build around the human ship, making space itself seem to bend and twist. Commander Jake Miller stepped forward on the Liberty's bridge. "Captain, all weapon systems are online and ready to fire. Should I show them what humans do to those who attack without cause?" Captain Ford looked at the massive alien ship that had just tried to destroy them. She thought about the 3 patrol ships that had been blown apart without warning. She thought about the crews who had died in those ships, good people who would never see their families again. "Fire one warning shot," she said quietly. "Let them see what they're really dealing with." The Liberty's main gun moved to target empty space near the alien ship. Energy built up inside the weapon, but it wasn't the simple laser the aliens expected. Something far more dangerous was preparing to fire, something that would make the aliens wish they had never come to human space.